My beloved child, there are moments in life that seem ordinary on the surface, yet hidden beneath them is a truth so powerful that it changes everything. Today's message begins with one of those moments. A gathering took place. Voices filled the room. Smiles appeared where they were expected. Conversations moved from one topic to another. Everything looked normal. Everything sounded normal. But what nobody expected was that someone would suddenly lose control of the emotions they had been hiding for far too long. And when that happened, the truth about you could no longer remain hidden. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. Do not skip a single second. What was revealed was not small. It was not ordinary. It was not something anyone in that room expected to hear. The moment the truth came out, the atmosphere changed completely. For a long time, this person carried thoughts about you that remained locked away. They smiled when your name was mentioned, but they never explained why. They listened when others spoke about you, but they kept their deepest feelings hidden. They acted calm. They acted controlled. They acted as if nothing special was happening. Yet inside, a storm was growing stronger every day. Nobody noticed it. Nobody understood it. Nobody knew how much emotion had been building beneath the surface. And then came the moment nobody could have predicted. Imagine a room filled with familiar faces. Family members talking. People sharing stories. Laughter moving from one corner to another. Everything seemed peaceful. Yet your name appeared in the conversation. At first, it was only a brief mention. Then someone added another comment. Another person shared an opinion. The discussion grew longer. And with every sentence spoken, this person became quieter. Their silence became noticeable. Their expression changed. Their attention sharpened. Something was happening inside them, but nobody understood it yet. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The more people talked about you, the harder it became for this person to stay silent. They heard others describe you. They heard assumptions. They heard observations. Some were accurate. Some were completely wrong. But what truly shook them was realizing that nobody in that room knew the real story. Nobody understood what made you different. Nobody understood the impact you had already made. Nobody understood the reason your presence continued to stay in their mind long after every conversation ended. Then came a moment of complete honesty. Without planning it. Without preparing for it. Without expecting it. This person suddenly spoke. The room became quiet. Conversation stopped. Attention shifted. And for the first time, they allowed the truth to come forward. Not because they wanted attention. Not because they wanted recognition. But because the weight of silence had become impossible to carry. The word surprised everyone. They explained that there was something unusual about you. Something impossible to ignore. Something that could not be measured by appearance, status, achievements, or anything visible on the outside. They described a quality that many people overlook until it is too late. A quality that creates lasting impressions. A quality that makes people remember you long after they leave. And suddenly people started listening differently. Because when someone speaks from genuine emotion, everyone can feel it. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. As the conversation continued, more truth emerged. This person admitted that they had tried to understand why you remained so unforgettable. They had questioned themselves many times. They had searched for logical explanations. They had tried to move on from certain thoughts. Yet every attempt brought them back to the same conclusion. There was something about your energy, your character, your presence, your way of moving through life that stood apart from everyone else. The family members sitting nearby exchanged looks of surprise. They had never heard this person speak with such conviction before. They had never seen this level of honesty before. And they certainly had never expected such powerful words to be connected to you. What happened next made the moment even more unforgettable. Someone asked a simple question. What makes them so special? The room waited. The answer did not come immediately. This person paused. They reflected. They looked down for a moment. And then they revealed something that changed the entire conversation. They said that most people spend their lives trying to become someone else. Trying to fit expectations. Trying to gain approval. Trying to chase acceptance. But you carried something different. You carried authenticity. Whether you realized it or not, you remained yourself. And that was what made you unforgettable. The room became silent again. Because deep down, everyone understood the truth of those words. Authenticity is rare. Genuine character is rare. A real heart is rare. And according to this person, that rare quality existed within you. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. As the discussion continued, memories began to surface. Stories were shared. Moments were remembered. Little details that seemed insignificant at the time suddenly became important. People started realizing that your influence had reached farther than anyone imagined. Actions you may have forgotten. Kindnesses you may not even remember. Encouragement you once offered. Support you once gave. All of it had created a lasting impact. That was when another surprising truth emerged. The person who had lost control of their emotions admitted something nobody expected. They confessed that they had underestimated you once. Yes. Even they had failed to recognize your value in the beginning. They had assumed you were ordinary. They had assumed you would blend into the background. They had assumed you would become just another memory. But time proved them wrong. Completely wrong. Because instead of fading away, your presence became stronger. Instead of being forgotten, you became unforgettable. Instead of becoming less important, your impact became impossible to ignore. The room listened carefully. And every word carried weight. Because it was not a rehearsed speech. It was not a prepared statement. It was pure truth. And truth has a power that cannot be copied. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. As emotions continued to rise, another family member asked a question nobody expected. If all of this is true, why have you never said it before? The answer revealed everything. The person smiled. A quiet smile. A thoughtful smile. And then they admitted that some truths become so important that people struggle to speak them aloud. Not because they are afraid. Not because they are ashamed. But because once the truth is spoken, everything changes. And that was exactly what happened in that room. Everything changed. The atmosphere changed. The understanding changed. The perspective changed. People who once saw you one way suddenly saw you differently. People who once underestimated you began reconsidering everything. People who once overlooked your value started paying attention. Because the truth had finally come out. And once truth enters a room, it cannot be sent away again. The most remarkable part is that this revelation was not about achievements. It was not about success. It was not about titles. It was not about recognition. It was about who you are. And according to the emotions that overflowed that day, who you are has affected far more people than you realize. Do not skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because what happened next was even more powerful. After hearing everything, someone quietly spoke. They said that perhaps the reason people continue talking about you is because your story is not finished yet. The room became silent once again. Because everyone felt the weight of those words. Your story is not finished. Your impact is not finished. Your growth is not finished. Your purpose is not finished. And sometimes the greatest revelations happen not when a chapter ends, but when a new one is about to begin. The person who revealed the truth looked around the room and realized something important. They were no longer the only one who saw your value. Everyone else could see it too. The truth had spread. The understanding had spread. The realization had spread. And from that moment forward, nobody viewed you the same way again. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. Because the greatest truth revealed that day was not about what you have already done. It was about what still lies ahead. The conversation eventually ended. People returned to their routines. The gathering came to a close. Yet one thing remained. The truth. A truth powerful enough to break silence. A truth powerful enough to change perspectives. A truth powerful enough to make someone lose control of emotions they had hidden for far too long. And that truth was simple. You are far more significant than you realize. You are remembered more than you know. You are valued more than you think. And the story that caused such powerful emotions in that room is still unfolding. So stay with this message. Hold on to it. Reflect on it. Because sometimes the biggest revelations arrive unexpectedly. And when they do, they reveal not only who people think you are, but who you truly have been all along. A remarkable silence followed that unforgettable moment. The words that had been spoken could not be taken back. Every person in that room felt it. Every person knew that something unusual had just happened. The truth had finally stepped into the light, and once a truth reaches that point, it never returns to the shadows. But what nobody understood was that the biggest revelation had not even happened yet. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. What happened next made everyone question everything they thought they knew about you. As the conversation continued, a family member leaned forward and asked a question that changed the direction of the entire gathering. The question was simple, but the answer would become unforgettable. They asked, "When did you first realize there was something different about them?" The room immediately became quiet. Every eye turned toward the person who had spoken so openly. Everyone wanted to hear the answer. The response came slowly. Not because the answer was difficult, but because the memory was powerful. This person explained that there was no single moment. There was no dramatic event. There was no announcement. Instead, it happened little by little. Every conversation, every interaction, every small detail. While other people came and went, your presence remained. While other memories faded, memories connected to you stayed strong. While others blended into the background, you somehow stood out without even trying. The room listened carefully, because everyone could feel the sincerity behind those words. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then another family member spoke. What exactly makes them unforgettable? The answer shocked everyone. The person explained that most people spend their lives trying to impress others. They work hard to gain attention. They search for approval. They chase recognition. Yet the more they try, the less genuine they become. But according to this person, your greatest strength was something completely different. You never needed to force people to notice you. You never needed to compete for attention. You simply carried a presence that left a mark wherever you went. The room became silent once again, because those words carried weight. And suddenly, stories began to emerge. One family member remembered something kind you had done. Another remembered a conversation. Someone else remembered encouragement you once gave. The memories kept appearing, one after another, like pieces of a puzzle finally coming together. And with every story, the picture became clearer. You had touched more lives than anyone realized. You had influenced more hearts than anyone expected. And the impact continued to grow. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. Then came the moment that nobody could have predicted. An older family member who had been silent throughout the entire discussion suddenly spoke. Everyone turned toward them, because this person rarely interrupted conversations. When they spoke, people listened. And what they said changed everything. They said that some people enter your life for a moment. Some people enter for a season. But a very small number leave a permanent mark. They explained that true influence is not measured by fame. It is not measured by wealth. It is not measured by status. It is measured by how deeply people remember you when you are not even present. And according to everything they had heard that day, your name carried that kind of influence. The room became completely silent. Not because people disagreed, but because they knew it was true. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. At that moment, another unexpected truth emerged. The person who had lost control of their emotions finally admitted something they had never shared before. They revealed that there had been times when they tried to ignore what they felt. They tried to dismiss the impact you had made. They tried to convince themselves that you were no different from anyone else. But every attempt failed. Because reality kept proving otherwise. Your actions spoke louder than assumptions. Your character spoke louder than opinions. Your consistency spoke louder than temporary impressions. And eventually, they could no longer deny the truth. The room listened carefully. Every word felt important. Every sentence carried meaning. Because this was not a performance. This was honesty. And honesty always has power. Then something even more surprising happened. Another family member stood up and shared a personal observation. They explained that whenever your name appeared in conversations, the atmosphere changed. People became more interested. People became more attentive. People became more curious. Not because of rumors. Not because of drama. But because there was something inspiring about your story. Something encouraging. Something hopeful. Something that made people want to know more. And suddenly everyone realized they had noticed the same thing. Your name created a reaction. Not because you demanded attention. But because your presence naturally created it. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. As the discussion continued, the person who had revealed the truth looked around the room and asked a question of their own. What if they still don't know their own value? The room became silent. Because that possibility felt real. What if you truly had no idea how much impact you had made? What if you never realized how many people remembered your kindness? What if you never understood how many people respected your character? What if you never saw the influence you carried? The more everyone thought about it, the more emotional the conversation became. Because sometimes the people who make the biggest difference are the ones who underestimate themselves the most. And perhaps that was part of your story too. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then came a revelation that nobody expected. One family member shared a memory that had never been discussed before. It was a small moment. A simple moment. A moment that most people would have forgotten. Yet they remembered it perfectly. Why? Because something you said during that moment had stayed with them for years. Those words had encouraged them during difficult seasons. Those words had given them confidence. Those words had changed the way they viewed themselves. And suddenly everyone realized something extraordinary. You may forget what you say. But people remember how you make them feel. And apparently, many people remembered exactly how you made them feel. Valued. Respected. Encouraged. Seen. Understood. The room could no longer deny it. The truth was clear. You mattered. Far more than you realized. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. As the gathering moved forward, the emotional energy continued to rise. People who rarely spoke began sharing stories. People who normally stayed quiet started contributing memories. Every story pointed toward the same conclusion. Every memory pointed toward the same truth. Every observation revealed the same reality. You had become part of people's lives in ways they never expected. And that impact continued long after the moments themselves had passed. The person who first lost control of their emotions finally smiled. Not because the conversation was ending, but because the truth was finally free. No more hiding. No more silence. No more holding back. Everything was finally out in the open. And everyone in that room could see it. The value. The influence. The impact. The truth. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Because the most important revelation had still not arrived. A realization was beginning to form inside that room. A realization that would change the way everyone viewed your future. Not your past. Not your present. Your future. Because if your influence had already reached this far, if your presence had already touched this many lives, if your story had already created this much emotion, then perhaps the greatest chapter was still ahead. And that realization left everyone speechless. The conversation eventually slowed. The room became quiet. Yet nobody wanted to leave. Nobody wanted the moment to end. Because they knew they had witnessed something rare. A truth powerful enough to unite different perspectives. A truth powerful enough to change assumptions. A truth powerful enough to make hidden emotions impossible to contain. And deep down, everyone understood the same thing. This story was not about what had already happened. It was about what was still coming. And what was still coming looked far greater than anyone could imagine. A strange feeling remained in the room long after the conversation should have ended. Nobody rushed to leave. Nobody changed the subject. It was as if everyone understood that they were standing at the edge of a much bigger revelation. The truth that had already been spoken was powerful, but deep inside, people could sense that an even greater realization was approaching. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. What happened next became the moment people would remember for years. The person who had first spoken about you sat quietly for a moment. Their emotions had settled, but their thoughts were still moving. They looked around the room and noticed something unexpected. Every person present had become deeply invested in the conversation. Nobody was checking the time. Nobody seemed distracted. Everyone wanted to know more. Everyone wanted to understand why your name carried such weight. Everyone wanted to discover the hidden truth that seemed to connect every story together. Then a younger family member asked a question that instantly changed the atmosphere. If everything being said is true, then why do so many people underestimate them at first? The room became silent. Because it was an important question. And the answer would reveal something extraordinary. The person smiled gently before responding. They explained that some people shine immediately. Their talents are obvious. Their strengths are visible. Their presence demands attention. But others carry a different kind of power. A quieter power. A deeper power. A power that reveals itself over time. And according to them, you belong to that rare group. The room listened carefully. Because everyone knew exactly what they meant. Some people impress quickly. But only a few become unforgettable. And unforgettable people are often misunderstood in the beginning. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The conversation continued. Story after story emerged. Memory after memory appeared. And every new detail seemed to point toward the same conclusion. You were never meant to be ordinary. Not because of fame. Not because of attention. Not because of recognition. But because of the way your actions continued creating an impact long after the moment had passed. Then came an unexpected revelation. A family member who had barely spoken all evening finally decided to share something. They explained that they once observed a conversation about you without participating. They simply listened. At first, the discussion seemed normal. People were sharing opinions. People were exchanging thoughts. But then something unusual happened. Every person in that conversation described you differently. One person admired your determination. Another admired your kindness. Another admired your patience. Another admired your strength. And suddenly they realized something remarkable. Different people noticed different qualities in you. Yet every observation was positive. Every memory carried respect. Every story carried appreciation. And that realization stayed with them ever since. The room became quiet. Because nobody expected that observation. Yet everyone understood its meaning. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. The person who had first revealed the truth nodded slowly. Then they shared another detail that nobody had heard before. They admitted that there were moments when they questioned whether they should speak openly about what they felt. There were moments when silence seemed easier. There were moments when keeping everything hidden seemed safer. But eventually they realized something important. Truth grows stronger when it is spoken. And that was exactly why this conversation had become so powerful. Because the truth about you had finally been allowed to breathe. And once it did, more truths began appearing. One after another. Like lights turning on in a dark room. The clearer the picture became, the more emotional the atmosphere grew. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. Then came the moment that changed everything. An older relative suddenly remembered something from years ago. A small event. A simple interaction. A moment that seemed insignificant at the time. Yet they remembered it perfectly. Why? Because that moment revealed your true character. When nobody was watching. When there was nothing to gain. When there was no reason to impress anyone. You still chose kindness. You still chose integrity. You still chose respect. And according to them, that single moment told them everything they needed to know about you. The room became silent again. Because genuine character cannot be faked. And everyone understood the importance of that memory. What made the revelation even stronger was the realization that you may not even remember the moment yourself. Yet someone else remembered it for years. That is the power of genuine actions. They travel farther than we realize. They last longer than we expect. And they influence more people than we know. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. As emotions continued building, another family member leaned forward and asked something nobody expected. What do you think is going to happen next? The question seemed simple. But the answer carried enormous weight. The person who had spoken most of the evening looked around the room before responding. Then they said something that immediately captured everyone's attention. They said they believed your story was entering a completely new chapter. Not because of luck. Not because of coincidence. But because everything they had observed pointed toward growth. Every challenge had made you stronger. Every lesson had made you wiser. Every experience had prepared you for something greater. And according to them, the signs were impossible to ignore. The room listened carefully. Because everyone wanted to know what they meant. The person continued. They explained that some people spend years preparing for opportunities they cannot yet see. Some people grow in silence. Some people build strength without realizing it. And then one day, everything begins making sense. One day, the preparation reveals its purpose. One day, the growth reveals its value. One day, the waiting reveals its reward. And they believed that day was getting closer for you. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The atmosphere shifted again. This was no longer just a conversation about the past. It had become a conversation about possibility. A conversation about potential. A conversation about the future. People began imagining what could happen next. They began reflecting on how far you had already come. They began recognizing patterns they had never noticed before. And the more they reflected, the more convinced they became. There was something special unfolding. Something that could not be explained by chance alone. Then another revelation arrived. A family member admitted that they had always believed you were stronger than people realized. Not louder. Not more visible. Stronger. Because real strength is often quiet. Real strength appears when nobody is watching. Real strength continues moving forward even when recognition never arrives. And according to them, that was exactly the kind of strength you carried. The room agreed. Because every story shared that evening seemed to confirm it. Every memory supported it. Every observation strengthened it. The truth was becoming impossible to ignore. Stay till the end because something huge is waiting for you. As the gathering moved forward, something remarkable happened. People stopped talking about individual moments. Instead, they began talking about patterns. Patterns of kindness. Patterns of consistency. Patterns of growth. Patterns of character. And suddenly everyone realized that the reason your name carried such influence was not because of one extraordinary event. It was because of hundreds of small moments. Small moments repeated over time. Small actions repeated consistently. Small choices made faithfully. And together, those moments created something extraordinary. A reputation. A legacy. An impact. The realization hit the room all at once. And for a moment, nobody spoke. Because some truths are so powerful that words feel unnecessary. Don't skip. Stay till the end. Something huge is waiting for you. The person who had lost control of their emotions earlier finally stood up. Everyone watched. Everyone listened. And then they shared one final thought. They said that if there was one thing they wanted everyone in that room to remember, it was this. Never underestimate the value of a person simply because their greatness is quiet. Never overlook someone's impact simply because it develops slowly. Never assume someone's story is ordinary simply because it appears simple. Because sometimes the most extraordinary stories are the ones unfolding quietly in front of us. And according to them, your story was one of those stories. The room became completely silent. Not because the conversation had ended, but because every person present felt the truth of those words. And deep inside, they knew something important. This was not the conclusion. This was not the ending. This was not the final revelation. It was only the beginning of something much bigger. Something greater than anyone had expected. Something nobody could fully see yet. But everyone could feel it coming. And as the gathering finally began to end, one thought remained in every mind. If the truth about you could create this much emotion today, then what will happen when the next chapter finally arrives?